Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope all of you guys are doing well. This is going to be my ranking for the TMNT franchise. There are 7 movies in total, and I figured I'd give you guys my ranking on what I find to be the not so great and the greats. So let's go ahead and get into it. So at number 7, we're going to start off with the 2014 TMNT. This movie's okay. To me, it's just more of the forgettable TMNT films. I feel like the plot is all over the place. I think Shredder was really weak, and I just didn't care too much in the direction that they went. I didn't care for the origin story because it we've seen it way too many times, and I feel like a lot of people had some complaints on that. It's by now we should all know how the turtles became who they are. Now I will state Megan Fox I thought was a decent April O'Neil, but I felt like they could have casted somebody older and have her in like flashback scenes because I feel like she would play a great young April O'Neil rather than uh, April O'Neil herself. I feel like April O'Neil should be that character who's always portrayed, by a older actress. That's just my personal opinion. Um, but nonetheless, I think they went and did something decent with her for the most part. But it's just a forgettable film. So at number 6, we're gonna go with uh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: Turtles in Time. As we all know, this movie is not the greatest. By all means, it's not the greatest. I do like some of the directions that they went with, but there's a lot that is just bad about this. I don't like the fact that the character of Casey Jones was very limited. His character, that character, and Splinter felt like they got the short end of the stick. Um, I don't like the designs of the turtles, and I think the story was extremely weak. Now, mind you, I do give them credit for having, that turtle lore. Like there was this prophecy with them, but I felt like they could have done something different. I would have been more of them going more towards like the foot. It should have been like a prequel that the foot has been around for thousands of years. I think that would have been a better story than what we got. So nonetheless, to some extent, I think it was decent, and I do like the story to some extent as well. But yeah, everything else just not great. There are some funny moments I like, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's going to be my number 6. And my number 5, of course, is going to be none other than TMNT. This is the 2007 animated film. This one's not too bad. I do like the fact that it is intended to be a sequel to, Turtles in Time. I do like the fact that they decided to have, little references to the original films. You get to see like little things that they've had in the previous films, and I thought that was pretty cool. But the story itself, I think, falls flat. I just did not care for the villain. I thought the twist was decent, but nonetheless, I just felt like, at times it was just a little all over the place, and just the story seemed to be way too short, and that was unfortunate. So that, other than that, everything else I think is great. The animation's not too bad. Um, so that's going to be my number 5. So my number 4 is going to be none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I thought Mutant Mayhem was pretty enjoyable. I liked the art style. I thought that was pretty nice. I liked the different directions that they went, like Bebop and Rocksteady not being humans that were mutated, they were actually animals that were mutated. I like that the Shredder wasn't the villain. They try to do something fresh and different while also trying to, keep, true to, the TMNT franchise itself. I like that they're teenagers. That was cool to see. And I like that at one point Splinter and the Turtles were out there in the real world. And yeah, I thought it worked out pretty decently. Um, but it's not necessarily my all-time favorite. It may change if I watch this more than one time, but for what we got, I thought was good, and that's the reason why it's at the you know, closer to the front of the ranking. So my number three is going to be TMNT Out of the Shadows. This is the follow up to the 2014, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. We do see the return of Megan Fox as well as the actors who play the turtles, but we also have, other characters like Casey Jones, of course, played by Stephen Amell, who I thought was perfect for this role. I really enjoyed his character. I do feel like they could have done more with him. I do like the fact that the Shredder was a lot better in this. I like Bebop and Rocksteady. I thought that was cool to see them. It was really cool to see the character of Baxter Stockman. I do feel like they should have had him turn into the Fly at the end of the film, which could have set it up, for another film, and he could have been the villain for that film. I feel like everything they did wrong for the first film, they did right for this film, and I think this, to be quite honest with you, this probably should have been like a reboot on that franchise, or they should have done this movie instead of the 2014 film. But I do enjoy this movie every time I watch it. I just think the story is a little bit better, and I feel like it's a better improvement from the 2014 film, and it's definitely one I tend to go back to from time to time. So that one's going to be my number three. Number two, so this was a little difficult because we are at the last two, but if I have to go with any of them, it's going to, of course, be Secret of the Ooze, the second film in the franchise. Secret of the Ooze is good, but I do have problems with it. There are some things that annoy me about it, but nonetheless, it's still a fun and enjoyable film. I do like the Super Shredder, even though he's only there for a few minutes. I do like that, we get more of somewhat of a backstory on the ooze. Um, but nonetheless, it's an enjoyable movie. But nonetheless, I just still feel like it has its issues. But it's one I grew up with and will always enjoy every time I watch it. But yeah, that's gonna be my number two, and of course, my number one is the first film. There's so many great things about this movie that I just feel like makes it unique in its own way. And this is a film that really you don't even have to have the other films in your collection. Because yes, each film kind of has its own story to some extent, but this is just an absolutely amazing film. The score is great. Judith Hogue, who plays April O'Neil, I think is fantastic. Just a grittiness of what is it, New York back in the 90s, just absolutely amazing. The introduction to Casey Jones I thought was great. The dark atmosphere of this film, from the score to these characters, I just, all in all, I think it was a really great film. And it's unfortunate that, with films like that, Batman Returns, and who knows what other films during that time, where people were just so upset that we have to get lighthearted sequels. We gotta lighten it up a little bit, not make it as bad. And I think the first film did a lot right, and it makes me wonder what direction it would have gone in if we didn't have the complaints. I feel like Secret of the Ooze would have been a lot more of a darker film, like the first film, if it wasn't for the parents complaining and things like that. So, um, yeah, so it's gonna always be my number one film. It's just so memorable and enjoyable. I mean, we get a little Critters poster cameo, and we do get some cameos from, I think, some of the voice actors from the Turtle films, like the cab passenger and the pizza delivery guy. I don't know if they're the actors who do the voices, or it's a combination of the voice actors and those who are in the suit, or it's both. Maybe the actors who voiced the characters were also in the suit. I don't know. I don't really go full detail into the production of that, but the first movie is always going to be the greatest of all time. So there you have it. that is my ranking on the TMNT movies. Let me know what your thoughts are on all 7 movies. What's your ranking? I would love to hear your guys' opinion on that, and definitely let me know down in the comment section below. And then keep your eye out, as I will be doing a follow-up, as I will be ranking the animated, not animated shows, but the entire shows, ranging from the animated one to the live action one. So if you get the opportunity, keep an eye out for that. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It's much appreciated. If you're a fan of unboxings, movie reviews, collection updates, and so much more, then go ahead and do so. And if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It's much appreciated, and it keeps me going. Um, and yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. And yeah, so with that being said, I am Film Talk with Mike. And until next time, guys, we'll talk films. Thanks for watching.